Some companies are selling our girls purposely for organ harvest and sacrifice.
Human trafficking is the fastest growing criminal industry in the world, second in size to only drug trafficking. According to the International Labour Organization, traffickers generate about $150 billion per year.
There is a misconception in Uganda that most of the human trafficking is occurring across international borders.
Most people believe it is people leaving Uganda to work abroad, and which is not the case.
80% of the trafficking crimes that we see in Uganda are happening inside the border of Uganda.
Because, for example, look at our homes. You know, some of the people are trafficked in homes, and actually the domestic workers, the trafficking is more in Uganda than even abroad to the Middle East, where we usually point the fingers.
Many people have domestic workers that would tantamount to exploitation because they are underpaid, working long hours, and some of them really treated in a very cruel way.
Domestic workers, for example, in this home, some of them are underage, which is trafficking. Some are not paid. Some are not allowed to leave, their houses. Somebody is benefiting, from the money that they are making. Many of them have children, whereby they are not even given holidays, and the working hours you can imagine in homes.
As a form of exploitation, we also have the issue of street children. And most of these children are from Karamoja area, as you have realized. Government has always intervened to remove these children from the streets, but it is still a struggle.
Yenna asangibwa nga ali mu kikolo ekyokuleeta abaana ku nguudo avunaanibwa n'asibibwa. Okuva etteekerero lyafulumya twakasiba abantu 56 era emirimu egimu gye tukola gya rescuinga bwana buno obubeera ku nguudo bu street kids. Era olwaleero tuli wano nga tufunye rescuinza abaana 161.
The push factor for these kids is the starvation in their region. Until it is addressed, government is fighting a losing battle. The biting poverty at times forces parents to exploit their own children.
In Budaka, there were even, words people just use, and you have to, understand what they mean. Like, when a mother tells a child, go and bring sugar, and does not give them money, what does that mean? And it was a common terminology. It meant that girls, you go and have sex and bring food.
And so you find that there are young children in brothels or in bars, in prostitution, that are being exploited. And those things really have an impact on somebody's mental state, psychological state, emotional state.
You find what people believe is culturally good, it is a form of exploitation, and this has been in the form of sexual exploitation and forced marriages.
And I remember going also to Chotera, and in Chotera and those fishing communities, there was a common language, that marriage on lease. It meant that, somebody would bring a young girl, have 2 weeks. She performs all the roles of a married person for 2 weeks and she's out, and they bring another. And it was common terminology.
So anytime you see someone being exploited for the benefit of someone else, you're seeing human trafficking.
Over 41% of Ugandans are living in poverty, according to the World Bank. Individuals living in difficult conditions are desperately looking for a way out. and traffickers are always lurking around.
The unemployment and the poverty levels is usually a factor, traffickers rely on, to lure, their victims.
But because I was desperately in my country looking for a job and I could not really get one, my auntie sold partly of her land and bought me an express passport.
So what happens, companies go to villages and organize what we call barazas. They paint a very rosy picture of what happens out of Uganda. They promise these girls heaven on earth.
They wrap it beautifully. Ne bakugamba nti ogenda kola eri waliyo sente, you'll come back, nge obulamu bwo bukyuse, everything is good.
The majority of women who go to the Middle East for domestic work, over 98% are single mothers.
These are the people that they found in the communities where they have nothing, they have no option for life, and they promise them to have abundance.
Women are in big numbers because of domestic violence. Some are running away from domestic violence and they end up being exploited by the traffickers.
I left because I was mad at my husband. I thought when I get far from him, I would have peace.
At first, I did not know that I was being trafficked, just like everyone else. Yeah, because in most cases, like I always say, the trafficked don't know that they are trafficked.
Okugenda ewarabu nayitira mu company. Era company nga nene. Nenanyiniyo munene wano mu ggwanga lyaffe Uganda.
This man who was a friend to my relative lied to my relative that, they have a company that is taking workers to Dubai to work in hotels and supermarkets.
They organize these girls and then move them like sheep, They put them in a place in Kampala. They talk to them. Now, meanwhile, they are cutting deals with people from out, the traffickers who are out of the country. I think negotiating how much they should pay them.
Days before the travel, Joan gets news of a last-minute change.
There is a change of things. You are going to pass via Kenya. Your visa had issues, so in the process of rectifying your visa, you had to pass via Kenya.
Joan becomes suspicious, but the fact that the person in charge was a friend of the family, she takes heart.
So you're like, okay, since I've been given assurance and since the other person who started the whole process is known by my relative, he cannot do something bad to me.
Joan travels to Busia, then to Nairobi, where she meets hundreds of other girls, holed up in a dilapidated hotel.
The hotel was very old, oh my God. Like the 2 nights I spent there, I felt like this thing is going to collapse and we all die from this place because that place was very, very old.
These girls are kept in a center. They are kept in one house. They call them Viyumba, something like that.
So, mwobwo obudde namala omwezi mulamba nga nkyalimu mu hotel nga nze kuba mwalimu abaana abalala era baali bamazeemu emyezi 2-3.
Joan and the other girls get arrested at the airport.
And we asked, why are we under arrest? They told us that we have fake documents.
Traffickers assure them it's just a little mishap. which in fact get